Hello everybody, this is Frontal Bob here, and welcome to another NASCAR discussions video thingamabob. So this isn't exactly like a super review or something like that, like I'm trying to get around to doing. I know I haven't done a race review in about a month. I'm trying to get around to that, but I guess we'll just have to see how soon that happens. But anyways, in this video, I'm going to be giving you my obligatory opinion on almost every single NASCAR throwback paint scheme that we're going to be seeing in Darlington this weekend, whether it be in the Monster Energy Cup Series or the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So this is off of the NASCAR website, so you may not see every single paint scheme, so if I do miss one or two, just let me know, and I might reply to you with my opinion on the particular paint scheme that I didn't give my opinion on this video. Also, if you're a fan of the background, I just have that turned on just so it drowns out some of the noise that you might hear in the background. I do apologize if you hear some kind of noise in the background. Again, I have a fan here to try and drown it out in a way. But I might do some further editing in Sony Vegas to try to drown out some more of the noise because it's sausage. Anyways, let's now jump in. So yeah, this day NASCAR is an article thingamabob, and we will get to see every single throwback paint scheme. So let's begin. So we start off with this is Landon Castle's number 00 Stockholm Racing Chevrolet. This is, I guess it's some kind of Starcom fiber paint scheme. It doesn't actually tell us what it's a throwback to, but, oopsie. But this paint scheme, it looks cool. The gold is quite nice, and the old-fashioned looking decal is quite nice as well. I'm not exactly sure. Actually, no, it shows in the background which paint scheme this is the throwback to. Unfortunately, that paint scheme is completely overshadowed by the fact that we have this car in front of us, but I will say this paint scheme does look quite nice with the gold and the classic looking logos. Definitely a throwback paint scheme that you should definitely look out for. Next we have Jay McMurray's McDonald's throwback paint scheme. Once again, I'm not entirely sure which paint scheme this is exactly a throwback to, and for some reason not showing us the entire paint scheme. I kind of wish that some information here of what the paint scheme was a throwback to, so if I don't know, then I do apologize. This is actually the first time that I've seen a couple of these paint schemes because I want to save my initial reaction for this video. But this paint scheme overall, it's kind of like a rip-off of the previous paint scheme that we just saw, except with a few less vinyls. We have this thing here, which looks like a gear, and we also have some front vinyls over here, which look So overall, this is an paint scheme. You know, not the worst paint scheme, but was certainly not the best either. So that's the thing. Ooh, here's a more interesting paint scheme. This is Brad Keselowski's throwback paint scheme. Oh, there we go. More on Keselowski's throwback paint scheme. Hang on, do we hit? Oh, okay, never mind. I guess it does tell a story. So yeah, so more on Keselowski's throwback paint scheme. Let's actually take a look at this one of it. So Brad Keselowski is throwing back to Rusty Wallace. Yeah, I figured so, because Keselowski has had some, anyways, so this is a throwback to Rusty Wallace's paint scheme, which makes sense, because Keselowski has thrown back to Rusty Wallace in the past, and Rusty Wallace did previously drove for Penske at one point, so it only makes sense. So, so this is just a bunch of just blah blah stuff, so you can read that if you want to, but I'm not going to, because I would hate to waste your time on stuff that you probably don't even want to know that much about. Alright. Anyways, here's Kevin Harvick's Busch Beer paint scheme, which is okay. I will say, this paint scheme, for some reason to me, it looks a bit modern, like the way that this line goes. This looks quite modern to me, and so this kind of looks like a paint scheme that you would see regularly these days, but, apparently, the guys at Stores consider this paint scheme to be a classic, so, I'm not entirely sure where they were going with this paint scheme, but overall, I will say it does look quite cool in a way. And actually, tell a lie, it's based off of, I guess, this is like a classic Busch Beer can, in a way, so I guess this is supposed to be like a base of that, because, they have previously done paint schemes that look similar to the cans in the past, so, this paint scheme, it looks nice. I will say this is definitely one of the better paint schemes out there that we'll probably see at Darlington this weekend. Now we come to one that I quite like. So, you know how much I like sausages? Well, this is kind of like the sausage car in a way, and Oscar Mayer is going to be sponsoring Matt Kenseth in this race, which I think is quite cool. I think this is the first ever time that we've actually seen Oscar Mayer in NASCAR, and it is quite cool. And this paint scheme, I will say I'm not entirely sure how this paint scheme is supposed to be a throwback. I mean, we'll say this paint scheme does look nice. The orange and the yellow does blend well together. But I wouldn't necessarily call this paint scheme a throwback. Who knows? We might see Oscar Mayer sponsor Matt Kenseth regularly next season, kind of like what they did with Tide a couple years ago when Tide came on to sponsor Kenneth when he was driving for JGR. So we could see something similar like that with Oscar Mayer here, but we'll just have to just see what happens going into the future with Oscar Mayer. Yeah, if you want to look at my, I'm actually looking on my second monitor because I have OBS pulled up just to make sure that everything's going swell. Anyways, continuing on. Here's Chase Elliott's paint scheme. I have seen this paint scheme a few times already, but I might as well just give my initial thoughts on the paint scheme starting now. It's alright. It's not. Yeah, I like Chase Elliott. In fact, I have a Chase Elliott diecast right here, just making sure it shows in the camera. But yeah, this paint scheme. I mean, the gold looks kind of nice, and I know like Chase Elliott is trying to throw back to Casey Elliott, who drove a very similar paint scheme to this. But I think what this paint scheme really should have been is that the blue should have been red, like the actual paint scheme that he's throwing back to. But yeah, it's really just Chase Elliott just ripping off the design of Casey Elliott and just changing it to blue and the font of the number 9 and stuff. And yeah, this paint scheme, yeah. Sorry, Chase Elliott, as much as I like you, this paint scheme is a loser, I'm afraid. Here's something quite interesting. This is Denny Hamlin's paint scheme, and yeah, as you can see here, Denny Hamlin, this is a paint scheme. And this is actually supposed to be a throwback to a paint scheme that he drove when he drove legend cars or mini stocks or whatever Denny Hamlin drove back in the day. I will say it's sharp. It's it's not the most complicated looking paint scheme. It's more of a simple paint scheme, but I will say it looks sharp in a way, and definitely one that you won't miss on the racetrack. Yeah, I will say it's sharp. Remember, that reminds me, Mr. Double E Dude actually made a comment about this paint scheme. I think it looks sharp. Yeah, my thoughts on this paint scheme are very similar as his, and I will say it's a nice one. Definitely a nice one. On to Blaney's paint scheme. Yeah, this paint scheme was seen quite a while ago, and this is actually a throwback to Dave Blaney's 2003 paint scheme. Yeah, it's Jasper paint scheme, and I will say, it does look nice. It looks pretty much exactly like Dave Blaney's paint scheme, and there's nothing really wrong with that. It's mostly yellow for the most part, but this stuff here looks nice, and it's kind of interesting how they changed the color from number 12. Yeah, definitely a nice looking paint scheme right there. Well, stuff. So yeah. Here comes Mr. Ty Dillon, and this is now here a throwback to when Geico first came into NASCAR, I suppose. Yeah, so yeah, Geico, they first came into NASCAR in the year 2009, and this is the throwback to that. So yeah, although I guess it is kind of salty how there's like a throwback paint scheme. Yeah, it's only going back about less than a decade, so I guess not the most throwbacky paint scheme out there, but it's a nice one nonetheless. Here's a bland one. Clint Bowyer's California Ford paint scheme. Man, oh man. I know they're trying to throw back to the gold days of NASCAR, but this paint scheme just doesn't work, yeah. I am sorry, but this paint scheme this throwback paint scheme is one of the worst. There's nothing on this car, honestly. It's just decals, and that's it. Yeah, you get a black here on the front, but this paint scheme, man, just way too bland for my liking. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Clint Bowyer's throwback paint scheme is one of the worst. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say this about Clint Bowyer's paint scheme because I like Clint Bowyer, but like I said, this paint scheme, one of the worst. And I'm not saying that because I dislike Clint Bowyer. I actually quite like Clint Bowyer. I'm just saying that because that's just my feelings towards this particular paint scheme. Here's a nicer one. Yeah, Stenhouse, it looks like he's being sponsored by John Deere. Yeah, John Deere has been around for a million years, and yet they're now sponsoring a driver in NASCAR for the first time. Well, I'm not sure if John Deere has been in NASCAR previously, so I'm not sure if this is I'm not sure if John Deere is sponsoring a car for either the first time ever or for the first time in a million years. You guys are going to have to correct me in that in the comment section down below, but this is definitely a nicer looking paint scheme. The green and stuff. It all fits nicely together, and I will say this paint scheme turned out to be a pretty cool one, and I will definitely look forward to seeing it on the racetrack. Yeah, so like I said, quite a nice paint scheme. And the looks like they changed the font of the 17 to make it look more classic-y as well. So yeah, like I said, definitely a paint scheme to look out for out there on the racetrack this weekend. Hey, Mr. Kyle Busch with his paint scheme. Kyle Busch, my favorite NASCAR driver since Jeff Gordon. Definitely one of the best paint scheme out there. Looks like he's throwing back to, I can't remember what his name. I think it was Kenny Irvin or Irv. I don't know. You guys have to correct me on that. I don't know. Oh, never mind. Ernie Irvin. That's what it is. Okay. I was trying to look for something like that, but yeah, Ernie Irvin inspired look for the number 18. Let's just take a look at this. Yeah, Cowboys and Fields Wednesday. The painting machine during the blah 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 blah. 2015 champion will be honoring Ernie Irvin as there's a video playing in the background. Yeah, it's a really awesome opportunity to do this. Hey, there's the original looking card, which looks quite nice. Yeah. Yeah, of course, all the candies and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Sulberger then grabbed a can full of candies and tossed them to his mouth and watched the Cowboys himself turn to Irvin. Yeah. I actually saw that video on the on the JGR YouTube channel. Actually, no, that was a Twitter video. That was on the JGR Twitter. So yeah, I will say it was quite an interesting video, and I will definitely looking me out for this paint scheme on the racetrack. It is quite a good one. You know, it's kind of like Jeff Gordon, even though this paint scheme has nothing to do with Jeff Gordon. It has all to do with Skittles and rainbows and stuff. Here's a more interesting one. This is more of a simpler take, but it looks good nonetheless. This is Joe Gibbs Racing paint throwback to Sport Clips, I suppose. And this paint scheme is more of a simpler turn, but it does look quite interesting. It's kind of like a claw in a way with how this paint scheme looks like. You know, the red is kind of like a claw that's chewing into the white or something like that. You know what I mean? But this paint scheme is definitely a nice one to see. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the nicest paint scheme out there. It's definitely a bit more simple out there. But hey, at least it's better than Clint Boyer's paint scheme. But it's I guess overall it's average. But it's alright, I suppose. Hey, Paul Menard throwing back to the Wood Brothers once again. I feel like I've seen this paint scheme before. Actually, no, tell a lie. This is a all new throwback paint scheme that they're bringing out for throwback fun. And looks like they're throwing back to Cale Yarbrough, which is interesting. The lining looks interesting, and this part looks quite interesting as well. So yeah, I guess the rest of the car is just the whiteness. They just want to show off the part that has the most finals, which is appreciated. Yeah, so it is gonna look more 50s-ish in a way. Yeah, so he's honoring Cale Yarbrough. There you go. Hey, here's Joey Logano. Yeah, some people predicted that Logano would be throwing back to Steve Park, and he's done so with this paint scheme, as you can see right here, with the Pennzoil and the black lining and the lining. And I will say this is a nice throwback to Steve Park, and yeah, lots of people say this is one of the better paint schemes out there. And I will say this paint scheme, it looks nice and sharp, and definitely one to look out for on the racetrack. That'll be fun. Of course, it's the fan favorite right here. It's the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme for William Byron. Yeah, although this photo here that they have here looks crazy in a way, but I kind of saw guys with the paint scheme itself. But I will say this paint scheme does look nice, and it's kind of interesting that they're throwing back to Jeff Gordon. I mean, this paint scheme. Well, some people like to classify this paint scheme as a throwback to Jeff Gordon. I wouldn't necessarily say so. It's really just a return of the Exalted car that Jeff Gordon drove in his final season 2015, and this is pretty much a paint scheme that's probably going to be that we're going to see going into the future, as Jeff Gordon famed it, and William Byron is basically continuing the legend of the number 24. We come down here to William Byron's Rainbow Warrior car, and interesting fact, Jeff Gordon actually drove this car for some reason at Bristol. Yeah, because funny enough, in the year 2015, when they actually introduced the whole throwback thing for Darlington, Jeff Gordon did actually drive a Rainbow Warrior car in the 2015 season. However, he drove that at Bristol instead of Darlington, and Darlington would have been a much better opportunity to have the Rainbow Warrior car. But I guess for some reason they were figuring, let's run it at Bristol because we feel like it's a good place for a throwback paint scheme. And then NASCAR came out with the fact that was going to be there with the throwback weekend at Darlington, and yeah, so that was kind of spoiled. And unfortunately, in the 2015 Darlington race, Jeff Gordon just drove his standard 3M paint scheme, even though it would have been someone nice to see him drive his Spring Warrior paint scheme twice. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen in the end. But on the upside, at least William Byron is bringing back the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme at the correct racetrack. So that's quite cool, and definitely well appreciated. There's a more simple take. It's supposed to be Ryan Newman's Cats throwing paint scheme, which is supposed to be honoring Neil Bonnet. Actually, take a look at Neil Bonnet's paint scheme. Yes, there's the car. There's the original paint scheme. Oh, that's good break. So apparently, I guess um, Random is just going back to that paint scheme, which I mean, it's not a bad paint scheme, but certainly one of the blander ones out there. In fact, I think this paint scheme is like about the same thing as not Clint Boyer's paint scheme, but one of the other Chase Elliott's paint scheme. That's what it was. Yeah, this paint scheme is about right there with that. So yeah, that's the most great thing in the world and stuff. So yeah. Here's a paint scheme. Yeah, apparently Matt Bandel's honoring Jeff Burton. This is a quite cool looking paint scheme right here. You've got the lightning and the Corvette parts things. You know, I was originally, wondering what this paint scheme was particularly all about and stuff like that. And apparently, going back to Jeff Burton, who, if we take a look at this link, there's the original paint scheme, which, looks cooler. In a way, yeah. I think this paint scheme is a lot more suitable for the, what am I trying to say? For the Gen 4 era of NASCAR stock cars, and yeah. Yeah, it's not the best looking paint scheme on the Gen 6 body, but hey, at least they're doing something about it, so. Or at least Go Fast Race is doing something about it, so I guess that's nice. I'm going to make a McDowell's Love's car, which I don't entirely know where they were going with this paint scheme. Yeah, I don't know what this paint scheme is supposed to be a throwback to, or if it's supposed to be a throwback of anything. Yeah, the paint scheme itself looks a bit sausagey in a way, so yeah, it's average paint scheme, I suppose. Yeah, but the most creative looking thing in the world. Hey, look, it's NASCAR E3 making a cameo in this video. That's funny right there. Okay, Chris Buescher with a very, very basic looking paint scheme. Yeah, apparently, yeah, Bush is best since 1908. I don't like it. I'm sorry, but I don't like this paint scheme at all. Yeah, it's just vinyls just washed up all over the place, I'm afraid. So, yeah, I think this paint scheme is about as bad as Clint Boyer's, I'm afraid. Sorry, Chris Buescher. Oh, here's another interesting one. This is David Reagan's paint scheme as well, which looks interesting. The number font looks interesting as well, with all the sausages and stuff. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of the paint scheme itself is, but or whether we're going with this paint scheme itself, but it looks Bancoaches-y, I suppose. It's well, I think there's another one of those paint schemes. Not the best looking paint. Well, not the worst looking paint scheme, but certainly the best either. Here's actually one. Kurt Busch's Haas CNC paint scheme. For some reason, I feel like I've seen this paint scheme before, but hang on. It says Kurt Busch honors one of NASCAR's closest finishes. Oh, so apparently he's honoring Ricky Craven. I think so. Why is there stupid videos? Okay. I guess this paint scheme is supposed to be a throwback to Ricky Craven. Oh, interesting thing. Last year in the vote made up of fans and members of NASCAR Flame, I think Pepper number 10 was named the best throwback paint scheme in white and blue that honored Robert Yates. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, that's a paint scheme apparently. Yay. But yeah, I feel like I've seen this paint scheme before. I feel like Kurt Busch ran this paint scheme in 2015 or 16 or something, but yeah, this paint scheme looks way too familiar for some reason, but overall it's one, I suppose. It's alright, I suppose. Ooh, here's a cool looking one. This is Kyle Larson's Easy Solar paint scheme. Now, apparently he's honoring this guy here in the background, honoring Davey Allison. But for the most part, this paint scheme is really just looks like something that DC Solar just ripped off of. I think well this paint scheme would have been better if they would just straight up copy this one, like they had probably this being the gold. This part was the red, and this part was like more black in a way. You know, I mean, it would have been. I mean, the colors would have been a bit off in a way, but it would have made this paint scheme a bit better though. So, well, this paint scheme isn't the worst out there. I mean, it's all right, but I've seen better. Oh, here's a disappointing one. Yeah, you know, for the past, or for all of the 3 years that the throwback thing has existed, RPM has come with some cool looking throwbacks, but this one, however, this one is an exception. I don't know just where they were going with this painting. Like, you know, like for the past couple of years, I really like RPM's throwback painting, but this one though, this one is a letdown and a half. Yeah, it's, you know, my like what I said about Clint Boyer's painting can apply to this one. No interesting looking orange. It's just way too blue, not enough to see, and just it's just disappointing. So yeah, I'm sorry, but this paint scheme, it's rubbish, honestly. Okay, here's one that's a slight bit better. This is a Dinger's throwback paint scheme, which looks interesting how it swoops up here and goes right across. Yeah, I will say this paint scheme is slightly better. I mean, it's a three-tone paint scheme for the most part, and in a way you have some logos slapped on in some places, but you know, it's not the worst looking paint scheme in the world, but it's not the best side. This one's another one I would go on about average, I would say. Ha! This is one that people were making fun of in a way. This is Jimmy Johnson's Cobalt paint scheme. Now, I actually saw an entire thingamajig of this. This is actually supposed to be a throwback to Jimmy Johnson's thingamabob paint. So let me just look it up real quick. Okay, so I had to do a bit of searching, but I actually retweeted a tweet on Twitter which actually shows the full entire throwback paint scheme. So this paint scheme is actually supposed to be a throwback to this paint scheme. Yeah, as you see here, this is a 2011 or 2012 Cobalt paint scheme that Jimmy Johnson drove in that year, and this paint scheme is supposed to be a throwback of that. So yeah, I was actually wondering like why does this Cobalt paint scheme have so few vinyls in a way, but you know, it's simply because they were just trying to throw back to this paint scheme, which I can kind of understand more, because you know, I guess this is going to be Cobalt's final run if they're hyping it up to be. So yeah, I guess this is going to be the last time that we're supposedly going to see Cobalt in NASCAR. Oh well, but anyways, there you go. So overall, this paint scheme, it's interesting, I suppose. You know, it's kind of milky in a way, but at the same time, it's fine coaches. Okay, ooh, this is Corley Joy's TriStar paint scheme, which looks very windy and windy and sausagey in a way. And at the same time, it's very, very simple, very basic, and quite bland in a way. Yeah, I don't know. They don't show the whole car, which would have been nice if they did. But this paint scheme, it's a sausagey one to say. It's a sausagey one. But I don't know. It's sausagey. That's all I can say about that. Hey, here's the next thing. One Gates is Case Kane's paint scheme, which looks a bit more streamlined. And it kept the 95 thing of Bob that they had in the All-Star race, so that looks interesting. So this is quite a interesting, windy looking paint scheme. One to look out for on the racetrack. Yeah. Now we come to Jeffrey Earnhardt's number 96 paint scheme, which looks I mean, they have a vinyl going across the top of them. They have some sausages on the side, but it's a meh one in a way. I think my face is too low. Let me just try to fix it just a tad. Okay, that'll do. So, anyways, I guess now we're into the Xfinity series. Nope, one more painting for the Cup series. It's a Bojangles sausage paint scheme from Mr. Derek Cope. Yeah, apparently there's a throwback paint scheme to a paint scheme that Derek Cope drove himself, and now he's back driving his paint scheme again at StarCom. Even though Derek Cope should really be out of NASCAR, because he's just slow and rubbish and sausagey. Anyways, continuing on, we are now going to the NASCAR Xfinity Series paint scheme. So let's see what interesting paint scheme that we see here. Starting off, we have Cole Custer's House Automation paint, which looks interesting. It's kind of interesting how they have the eyes here and the 00 things, which isn't. Yeah, I can't kind of see where they were going with this paint scheme. Not the It's not the best looking paint scheme in the world, but it's not the worst either. My face is now too high. Okay, there we go. Now it's fixed. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how they have 427 Ci on the hood. But yeah, overall it's an interesting car. One to look out for. Oh, he's paying tribute to AJ Foyt. Okay, whatever. Who cares? Ooh, matte tip with a surface paint. It looks all sausagey in a way. Yeah. The vinyls are all banging the coaches and leaking anything. But I mean, for the most part, the paint scheme, it's all right, I suppose. So yeah. Ooh, Tyler Reddick with an interesting paint scheme. This is something. I mean, it definitely looks classy with the font and the paint scheme itself. It's one of the more simple ones out there, but yeah. I mean, this brownie part looks a bit nice, but it's more of an one. So there you go. Ooh, a leaf filter paint scheme. This looks very, very similar to like a Wrangler paint scheme that Dylan Hart drove in. Austin Dillon drove in 2016, I think it was, or 17. I can't remember which one year it was. And it also looks something like and yeah, this paint scheme, it looks. Yeah, it also looks like a paint scheme that Dylan Hart Jr. drove when he racing the Xfinity Series at one point. So I guess this paint is supposed to be like a throwback to that. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Yeah, as you see, Ryan Reed is throwing back to a very Greg Biffle looking paint scheme, I will say. No, it's American. It's interesting, and in a way, it reminds me of Greg Biffle when he used to drive for Roush. So this paint scheme is an interesting one and one to look out for because it looks interesting, and you should like it because it's bang coaches. Ooh, this is an interesting thing for Denny Hamlin. Of course, Denny Hamlin has to be racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. You know, when I first saw this car, I was like right now, I was kind of hoping that Ryan Preece would be driving that, but of course not. But we do, however, have Denny Hamlin driving a Sport Eclipse paint scheme, which I will say looks nice. You know, it looks stylish. The 18 looks classy. These things look interesting in a way, and it's a paint scheme to look out for. So yeah, look out for this paint scheme because it's an interesting one. Yeah, even though it's a Cup Drive Racing the Xfinity Series. Ooh, this is a new one, Daniel Hemrick. This is let's go to stylish with the paint scheme. How they have like the kind of the rainbows and stuff, and it's all wrapping around the end of the front and the end of the car, and it's an interesting one. You know, it's kind of interesting how there's a blue front and a white rear. Interesting design, I will say. Ooh, here's another interesting paint scheme from Spencer Gallagher. Yeah, it definitely looks a bit more classy in a way. It's got some stripes and stuff that wrap around the car, and it's an alright paint scheme. Ooh, look at that car. Here's a paint scheme for Joey Gase in number 35. Very simple, very basic. Apparently, it's got sparks and some sausages on the hood, and yeah, it's simple in a way. I don't know what the rear end looks like, but it's a sausagey one, so it's one to see on the racetrack, I suppose. Yeah, here's Mr. Ryan Sieg throwing back to a guy. It's not the worst looking paint scheme in the world. It's not the best, but it's bang coaches, I suppose. It's average, so we say that it's average. I don't know, that's apparently what that sponsor is, but I mean, it looks interesting how they try to match up this with this, but I mean, it's alright, I suppose. Also, why is the Nationwide logo on there? That looks sausagey. Should be the Xfinity Series logo. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Jeremy Clements with a classic looking paint scheme. You got white going along the top. You have gold all over the rest of the car, and it's an interesting one. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's one of the more than average paint schemes out there, and of course being sponsored by RepairableVehicles.com. Interesting paint scheme indeed. Of course, Cindric has to be in this car. It's the number 60 Ford paint scheme, and I wouldn't necessarily say that this paint scheme looks like something from the past. It's not really a throwback paint scheme. It looks more like a paint scheme that they would bring in next year or a year later. I wouldn't really call this paint scheme a throwback. It's more of a future paint scheme. So I don't know why they're bringing it to Darlington. It should be at Daytona or something, or some futuristic track in NASCAR. But this one doesn't really work here. Ooh, Timmy Hill with a paint scheme looks very similar to Jimmy Clements' paint scheme, except more interesting but less salty in a way. But Yeah, for the most part, it's a white, I suppose. Almost there. Ah, what is this paint scheme? What a lazy one this was. It's just two-tone with some kind of with black and some kind of sand color. Relay Racing Chevy, and it's apparently supposed to be a throwback to this car right here. And conveniently, they both have the exact same number, but at the same time, the paint scheme still looks less than average, I suppose. Of course, you have the name right there to make it look more interesting, so I guess that's something. Marion Brown with the Eagles or Coastal or Teal Nation paint scheme, which, because of course we need to have other sports teams coming to sponsor teams in NASCAR. But, this paint scheme, it's another simple one. This paint scheme looks more interesting how they have this bit here, so I guess this paint scheme is about average, I suppose. Of course, Kevin Harvick needs to be driving in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, driving the Hunt Brothers paint scheme, and yeah, this paint scheme is supposed to be a throwback to a different paint scheme that was driven some time ago, and yeah, it's basically just a classic. It's kind of like more of a classic, more version of the already existing Hunt Brothers pizza paint scheme. But it's not a bad looking paint scheme, but it's an one, I suppose. And finally, oh, that's it. Okay, apparently we can see drivers as kids and other things as kids, but to be honest, I really don't care. Well, that's all the paint schemes to take a look at. I don't want to. Okay, there's apparently you can compare the throwback paint schemes, but I'm not going to do that today because I'm tired of this. So, anyways, guys, I'm looking completely away from the thingamabobs as I bring my camera more to there. That is the end of a video. Yes, indeed, and yeah, that's it. So, anyways, guys, that is all for today's video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And like I said, if I missed any paint schemes, then just let me know in the comments down below, and I might give you my opinion on those. But yeah, anyway, that's all for this year's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.